Good morning, and I'd like to call the January 13th Committee of Adjustment meeting to order, and I'm wishing everyone a safe and happy New Year. And before we start, I'll just say today's meeting is being live streamed and recorded on the Township of Muskoka Lakes website and YouTube channel. By participating in the open public meeting today, you are consenting to your image, voice, and comments being recorded and posted online. Thank you. And I'd like to call the meeting to order. And we have the adoption of the agenda. Moved by Member Stokes, second by Member Bridgman. Be it resolved, the Committee of Adjustment agenda dated January 13, 2025 to be adopted. All those in favor? That's carried. And the adoption of the minutes. Moved by Member Grogan Green, second by Member Brown. Be it resolved that Committee of Adjustment minutes dated November 11th, 2024 be adopted and approved as circulated. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? That's carried. First, oh, sorry, yes.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome. It is required that I make a few statements, then I will explain the hearing procedures. This electronic hearing is being held in accordance with Section 238 of the Municipal Act. The members of the Committee of Adjustment present are Alan Edwards, Barb Bridgman, Ruth Ann Brown, Lisa Grogan Green, and Sean Stokes. I can confirm we have quorum and that senior staff and planning staff are present. Public input on this January 13th agenda was invited at the following email address: planning@muskokalakes.ca. Now I will explain the hearing process. The planner will provide an explanation and purpose of the application, the date the notice was circulated, and planning staff's comments. All internal and external submissions have been provided to committee members by Friday, January 10th. The planner will present any submissions received after this date. The committee will hear from the applicant or the applicant's agent if they wish to add any information or to substantiate their proposal. Please provide your name, mailing address, and postal code for our records. The committee will hear from those in support of the application and those in opposition to the application. Again, please provide your name, mailing address, and postal code for our records. Presentations are limited to 5 minutes unless otherwise permitted by the committee. If you are here to speak on an application electronically, please wait until after the planner presents the relevant application to raise your hand in Zoom. If you are here to speak on an application in person, when asked, please raise your hand, and when you are recognized by the chair, please approach the podium, turn on the microphone, and remain at the podium while you state your comments for recording purposes. The committee will hear from the applicant or the applicant's agent to respond to any questions or concerns raised. The committee will then have the opportunity to ask questions, have a debate on the application, and make a decision based on the information presented at the hearing. Please note that the effect of written and oral submissions on decisions for consent and minor variances, along with the reasons for minor variance decisions, are both required under the Planning Act, and motions are pre-populated with standard wording. However, the committee may decide to add reasons and/or effects to the standard wording after voting on a decision. Motions have been pre-populated with random movers and seconders to expedite the meeting. When it is time to vote, members shall physically raise their hand until the chair has confirmed the vote. If the vote is unclear, a verbal vote shall be recorded. This is not considered a recorded vote. It must be noted the chair has a vote on each application and can participate in the discussion. There is a 20-day appeal period from the date of the decision. Building permits are not available until after the appeal period and if no appeals are received. Lastly, please take down the pink notice signs that were posted on your property to advertise today's meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Edwards. The first application to be heard is consent application B 3924ML in the name of Harris and Milligan. The retained lot is known municipally as 1107 Hummingbird Lane. I would direct committee's attention to the consent sketches on page 29 of the agenda package. The purpose and effect of the application is to grant a right-of-way for access over the retained lot in favor of the benefiting lot. Notice of this public hearing under the Planning Act was circulated 25 days in advance of this meeting, and 5 comments have been received to date. Comments were received from Nick Snyder, the township's chief building official, planning staff from the District of Muskoka, and Hydro One, all stating no objection to the application. Comments were also received from Doug Holland, the township's fire prevention officer, stating no objection to the application and providing fire response times. Finally, comments were also received from Tim Sopko, the township's manager of operational services, stating that the proposed road access is via a private road. These roads are not required to be constructed or maintained in accordance with township road standards. The Operational Services Department does not review this type of access, and access for emergency services may be limited or unavailable. Staff have prepared a detailed report for committee's consideration and have recommended that the application be approved, subject to the standard conditions of consent. Staff have no further comments at this time and are happy to answer any questions from committee.
Thank you very much, Ms. Beamish. Is the applicant or applicant's agent here who should speak on this?
Hello, sorry. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes,
yeah.
Do you want to turn your camera on?
I'm having issues with it getting to turn on here. I had it going yesterday and it's
That's okay. Go ahead then.
you're not missing much. Sorry. Basically, I purchased the property almost a year ago now, and both Tim Milligan and David Harris have basically have allowed me to survey the property and granted me access on the sketch that was provided by my surveyor. That's about all I have to offer as far as information regarding the right of way.
Okay, can you give us your name, address, and postal code, please, for our
Yes, my
records?
name's Damien Burke, Damien. My last name is Burke, Burke. My address is 84 Taylor Road in Bracebridge, Ontario. And that's P1L1J2. I'm also the owner of the property in question.
Okay,
Not the roadway, but the property to be accessed from the private roadway.
great. Thank you very much. Is there anyone else wishing to speak on this application? Either for or against? No? Other questions from the members? Seeing none? Me. Moved by Member Brown, second by Member Grogan Green. Be it resolved that consent be granted for application B 3924ML Harris and Milligan, providing the following conditions are fulfilled. 1, a satisfactory registrable description deed of the separate lot right-of-way, together with any required right-of-ways or easements be submitted to the township, along with a registered copy of the reference plan. 2, the confirmation be received that the township is satisfied that the retained lot is satisfactory for on-site sewage disposal, then any problems identified within the existing sewage system be corrected to the satisfaction of the township. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor? That's carried. And the next application is HAYTER, and that is B 45, 46, 47, 24 ML. And that is Ms. DeMello.
Thank you, Chair Edwards. The next application to be heard is consent application B 45, 46, 47, 24 ML in the name of HAYTER. I would direct committee's attention to the first submitted consent sketch on page 44 of the agenda package. The retained lands are known municipally as 1176 Cooper Point Road. The purpose and effect of the application is to create rights-of-way over an existing driveway in favor of abutting properties to the west, located in the ownership of James and Lindy HAYTER and Susan and Scott HAYTER. I'd also direct committee's attention to the second submitted consent sketch on page 44 of the agenda package. The retained lands are known municipally as 1164 Cooper Point Road, Unit 1. The purpose and effect of the application is to create rights-of-way over an existing driveway in favor of an abutting property to the west in the ownership of Susan and Scott HAYTER. Notice of this public hearing under the Planning Act was circulated 25 days in advance of this meeting, and 5 comments have been received to date. Comments were received from Nick Snyder, the township's chief building official, Tim Subkow, the township's manager of public works, planning staff from the District of Muskoka, and Hydro One, all stating no objection to the application. Comments were also received from Doug Holland, the township's fire prevention officer, stating no objection to the application and providing fire response times. Staff have prepared a detailed report for committee's consideration and have recommended that the application be approved subject to the standard conditions of consent, and that an Ontario land surveyor provide satisfactory confirmation that the garage not shown on the submitted consent sketch for application B 4724 ML complies with the minimum required setback of 10 feet from the proposed right-of-way, or alternatively, that the garage be brought into compliance. Staff have no further comments at this time and are happy to answer any questions from committee.
Thank you very much, Ms. Wood. And is the applicant or applicant's agent here? I think we have the agent. Nobody's here for that one? Other questions from the members? Seeing none. Moved by member Bridgman, second by member Stokes, be it resolved that consent be granted for application B 45, 46, 47, 24 ML HAYTER, provided the following conditions are fulfilled. 1, that a satisfactory registrable description deed of the severed lots right of way, together with any required right of way or easements, be submitted to the township, along with a registered copy of the reference plan. 2, that confirmation be received that the township is satisfied with the retained lots are satisfactory for on-site sewage disposal, that any problems identified with the existing sewage system be corrected to the satisfaction of the township, and 3, that Ontario land surveyor provides satisfactory confirmation that garage not shown on submitted consent sketch for application B 4724 ML complies with the minimum required setback of 10 feet from proposed right-of-way, or alternately, that the garage be brought into compliance. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? That's carried. The next application is B 48, 49, 24 ML, Spencer and CARR, and that is Ms. Beamish.
Thank you, Chair Edwards. The next application to be heard is consent applications B 48, 49, 24 ML in the name of Spencer and CARR. The retained lots are known municipally as 3164 Muskoka Road 118 West, Unit 17 and Unit 21A. I would direct committee's attention to the consent sketch on page 58 of the agenda package. The purpose and effect of the application is to grant easements for hydro infrastructure. Notice of this public hearing under the Planning Act was circulated 25 days in advance of this meeting, and 5 comments have been received to date. Comments were received from Nick Snyder, the township's chief building official, Tim Sopko, the township's manager of public works, planning staff from the District of Muskoka, and Hydro One, all stating no objection to the application. Comments were also received from Doug Holland, the township's fire prevention officer, providing fire response times and recommending that the Fire Smart Homeowners Manual be consulted to understand how treatments to the property influence wildfire spread. Staff have prepared a detailed report for committee's consideration and have recommended that the applications be approved, subject to the standard conditions of consent. Staff have no further comments at this time and are happy to answer any questions from committee.
Thank you very much, Ms. Beamish. Is the applicant or applicant's agent here wishing to speak on this?
He is. Thank you, Chair Edwards. My name is Ryan Allen, 104 Kimberley Ave, P1L1Z8, Bracebridge, Ontario. I am the planner representing this application today. Happy New Year to all. Sorry I missed you in December because of the postal strike, but it's nice to see that everything is back in order. Staying on this thread of easements, this is the third application today that has an easement component to it. This application has two easements. I think Ms. Beamish did a great job providing a summary of the application. This simply is to allow a hydro connection to allow the lot on Silver Lake to be developed. Happy to answer any questions you have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And is there anyone else wishing to support or opposition? No?
Committee have any questions?
Yes. Well, I was going to read it and ask, but any questions? Okay. Thank you. Moved by Member Stokes, second by Member Bridgman, be it resolved that consent be granted for application B 484924 ML Spencer CARR, provided the following conditions are fulfilled. 1, a registral description deed of the separate lots easements, together with any required right-of-way or easements, be submitted to the township along with a registered copy of the reference plan. 2, that confirmation be received that the township is satisfied with retained lots are satisfactory for on-site sewage disposal, that any problems identified with existing sewage systems be corrected to the satisfaction of the township. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? That is carried.
Thank you.
Next application is A 8424 Graham, and that's Mrs. Spears.
Thank you, Chair Edwards. The next application to be heard is minor variance application A8424 in the name of Graham. The subject lands are known municipally as 1003 Ann Street, unit number 4. I would direct committee's attention to the submitted site plan on page 80 of the agenda package. The applicants propose to recognize an as-built dock and construct a new single-story boathouse with a rooftop sun deck. Please note that the Township's Committee of Adjustment approved a minor variance application A7022 in January of 2023, granting the variances necessary for the construction of a single-story boathouse with a rooftop sun deck and an associated dock. The dock was constructed in a slightly different configuration than what was previously approved, and as such, a new application has been submitted to recognize the as-built dock location and to permit a new location for the proposed boathouse. Notice of this public hearing under the Planning Act was circulated 24 days in advance of this meeting, and 3 comments have been received to date. Comments were received from Tim Sopko, the Township's Manager of Public Works, and Nick Snyder, the Township's Chief Building Official, both stating no objection. Comments were also received from Douglas Holland, the Township's Fire Prevention Officer, stating no objection. However, the calculated fire response time of 15 minutes and 28 seconds is outside of the NFPA rural response time objective, and as such, it is prudent to subject development to additional design requirements beyond the minimums of the building code. As construction will be occurring on the property, we encourage pre-planning with the fire department concerning fire risks during this vulnerable phase of development, and the Fire Smart Homeowners Manual should be consulted to understand how treatments to the property influence wildfire spread. The proposed variances are shown on screen. This table was included in the circulation materials and can be found in the agenda package. Staff have prepared a detailed report for committee's consideration and have recommended that the application be approved. Staff have no further comments at this time, but are happy to answer any questions from committee. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is the applicant or applicant's agent wishing to speak on this?
Yeah. Hi, my name's Luke Van Leeuwen, 3687 Muskoka Road, 118 West, POB 1J0. I'm here as the applicant's agent, here to answer any questions as they come up. Yeah, essentially what happened was the dock was not placed in the correct location when they went to go drive the piles. And when the building official came, he asked for a confirmation of the setbacks. So we had Coot Hiley Gemmet provide a real property survey report, which then established that the dock was not where we originally had intended it to be. And now we're here asking for relief from the side yard setback. Again, if you have any questions, feel free. I'm here to answer them.
All right, thank you very much. Is there anyone else wishing to speak on this application, either for or against? No? Other questions from the members? Yes, Member Stokes.
I'd just like to understand from the agent if there's a reason why of the misplacement. Was it just an error? Was it a survey error? What was the right reason for that?
They did not have a OLS surveyor pin the dock when the dock was placed. So they were going by the pins, the existing pins in the side yard setback on the easterly side of the property. And I believe this was not built during ice, so they couldn't accurately pin everything when find the right angles that you would typically do when a dock builder constructs this over the winters. They're over the open water trying to figure out angles.
So that's an error on the part of the contractor then?
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none. Excuse me. Moved by Member Grogan Green, second by Member Brown, be it resolved that minor variance application A8424 Graham to construct a single-story boathouse with a rooftop sun deck and to recognize an as-built dock be approved with the following variances being granted. 1, to permit a cumulative width of 24.5 feet for a single-story boathouse with rooftop sun deck. 2, to permit an easterly side yard setback of 14 feet for a single-story boathouse with a rooftop sun deck. 3, to permit a westerly side yard setback of 35.5 feet for a single-story boathouse with a rooftop sun deck. And 4, to recognize a westerly side yard setback of 21 feet for a dock. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? That's carried. And the next application is A8524, Brackenridge Road Partners, Inc. That is Ms. Beamish.
Thank you, Chair Edwards. The next application to be heard is minor variance application A8524 in the name of Brackenridge Road Partners Incorporated. The subject lands are known municipally as 1725 Brackenridge Road. I would direct committee's attention to the submitted site plan on page 96 of the agenda package. The applicants are proposing to recognize an as-built dock. Notice of this public hearing under the Planning Act was circulated 27 days in advance of this meeting, and 3 comments have been received to date. Comments were received from Tim Sopko, the Township's Manager of Public Works, stating no objection to the application, and Nick Schneider, the Township's Chief Building Official, stating no objection to the application, but if approved, a permit amendment is required to recognize the approved changes. Comments were also received from Douglas Holland, the Township's Fire Prevention Officer, stating no objection, as well as the calculated fire response time, and recommending that the Fire Smart Homeowner's Manual be consulted to understand how treatments to the property influence wildfire spread. The proposed variance is summarized as shown on the screen. This table was included in the circulation materials and can be found in the agenda package. Staff have prepared a detailed report for committee's consideration and have recommended that the application be approved. Staff have no further comments at this time and are happy to answer any questions from committee.
Thank you very much, Mr. Amish. Is the applicant's agent here wishing to speak on this?
They are.
Good.
Thank you, Chair Edwards. Nice to see you again. I am the planner that's assisting with this application, Brackenridge Road Partners Incorporated. Emily and Leo, the architects from GP Associates, are also on the call today. They don't intend to say anything, but if you have any questions, they're here if needed. The Cole's notes of this application is that a building permit had been submitted for a dock, and during the construction of the dock, it was discovered that there was an immovable rock on the lake bottom, and accordingly, the dock was rotated, shifted slightly, and consequently, one of the corners of the dock now extends past the 66-foot limit and 4.5 feet past the 6-foot limit. You'll see on the site plan provided, I also have another plan that we could pull up. It's just a corner of the dock that extends past the limit. It'd be my professional opinion that the application meets the 4 tests of a minor variance, represents good planning, and that the variance should be approved as recommended by staff. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you very much, Mr. Allen. Is there anyone else wishing to speak in support? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Questions from the members? Yes.
Thank you, Chair Edwards. I was going to ask the same question as I asked the last time, but the answer was given. But it raises another question for staff, and this is more for my understanding and perhaps for the public. In the event that something like that happens during a construction process, should the homeowner be coming in and talking to planners at that stage, or is the way that this was done the appropriate way to do it, i.e. go ahead and move the dock and then come after construction and ask for permission for
that? Through you, Chair, I think I can answer that question, and good morning. I don't think there was anything untoward that happened in this particular instance. I think it was just a mistake with the surveying the shoreline. A measurement was taken, I believe, from the original high water mark with respect to how the length offset was measured. And it wasn't too long after that we being myself and Nick Snyder, the township's chief building official, sat down with the designers, the architects, and helped them work through what the issues were. And they opted to submit this application to recognize the increase in length. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So if I'm understanding, then they did come in advance of that construction and work it out with the township. And that's the way it should be done.
Through you, Chair, I don't know the exact sequence of events. Perhaps Mr. Allen could clarify that one point. I can't recall if the dock was in place when we had that conversation or not. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Would you like to?
Well,
yeah.
No, I mean, I'm not up in arms about it at all. I'm just trying to understand the process and the process that they went through and what the appropriate process is.
When they know it's a mistake, they should be coming in and that. But yes, Mr. Sharp.
Chair Edwards, I could add another comment that Mr. Sharp, excuse me, sorry, Bryce, was trying to fill in the gaps. The issue was discovered when the building permit for the boathouse was being prepared and submitted. So for all intents and purposes, it was understood the dock was okay until the boathouse permit was submitted, in which point all of these shoreline survey issues, rotation, water depths, kind of all came to a point. So we're here to clean everything up and allow everything to proceed as originally planned.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Allen. Yes, Mr. Sharp.
Thank you. Not to go on here forever, but with respect to the construction of a dock and a boathouse, what's often required is a permit for the dock is required to be issued first, and then that dock is required to be finalized, and then a subsequent permit is issued for a boathouse. So I think part of the issue here is that maybe there was a final inspection that was undertaken, and it was realized at that time, which is often the case. And then, the parties start working together and options are put forward. In this case, the one option that was tabled was a minor variance application.
Thank you very much for that explanation. Does that satisfy you? Any other questions or comments? Moved by Member Brown, second by Member Bridgman. Be it resolved that minor variance application A8524 Brackenridge Road Partners Inc. to recognize an as-built dock is hereby approved with the following variance being granted. 1, to permit an as-built dock to be 70.5 feet in length. This variance is granted shown on a plan attached to the notice of decision. This approval shall remain in effect for 3 years from the date of decision. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? That's carried.
Thank you, committee. Happy shoveling today.
Yep. The next application is A8624, and that is Ms. DeMello.
Thank you, Chair Edwards. The next application to be heard is minor variance application A-8624 in the name of Wiganowski and Ramdat. The subject lands are known municipally as 1149 Ross-River Road. I would direct committee's attention to the submitted site plan on page 114 of the agenda package. The applicants propose to construct a 2-story accessory private garage. Notice of this public hearing under the Planning Act was circulated 25 days in advance of this meeting, and 3 comments have been received to date. Comments were received from Tim Sopko, the Township's Manager of Public Works, stating no objection, and Nick Schneider, the Township's Chief Building Official, stating no objection. Comments were also received from Douglas Holland, the Township's Fire Prevention Officer, stating no objection, as well as a calculated fire response time, and recommending that the Fire Smart Homeowners Manual be consulted to understand how treatments to the property influence wildfire spread. The proposed variance is summarized as shown on the screen. This table was included in the circulation materials and can be found in the agenda package. Staff have prepared a detailed report for committee's consideration and have recommended that the application be approved. Staff have no further comments at this time and are happy to answer any questions from committee.
Thank you very much, Ms. DeMello. And is the applicant or applicant's agent here wish to speak on this? Good morning.
Hi there, good morning. I'm acting as the agent for the homeowners of San Antonios. My name is Mike Winstone, the designer and agent for the application. 1060 Wigwam Lodge Road, Kilworthy, Ontario, P0E1G0. I don't have anything to add. I'm just here for questions if there are any that come up.
Okay, thank you. And I will ask, is there anyone else wishing to speak in support? Anyone in opposition? Questions from the members? Yes, Member Bridgman.
Thank you, Chair Edwards. Just curiosity through to probably Mr. Sharp. I know we changed the height to 25 feet for waterfront properties. Is that part of what is going to be the review, the comprehensive bylaw review? Will we be doing that for the rural areas? And I have no objection to this because we've done it at the waterfront.
Through you, Chair, good question. Yes, I believe it's likely that we will increase the accessory building height to 25 feet. At least in the rural area, perhaps some discussion will be needed about whether we do that within the urban and the community areas, but certainly within the rural area, I think that would make a lot of sense. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Edwards. Next application to be heard is minor variance application A-7624 in the name of Diane. The application is returning. It was adjourned by committee in November to provide time for the applicant to revise the proposal to bring the proposed first-story portion of a two-story boathouse closer into compliance with applicable zoning requirements. And it was also requested that building elevations be provided to demonstrate the visual and aesthetic impacts of the proposal. The subject lands are municipally known as 8216 Lake Joseph Road, Unit 10. I would direct committee's attention to the submitted site plan on page 143 of the agenda package. The purpose of the application is to construct a two-story boathouse and attached dock. In accordance with the Planning Act, notice of this public hearing was not required as no additional variances were requested following the initial public hearing on November 11th. Notice was circulated 11 days in advance of the public meeting in November in accordance with the Act. 3 comments have been received to date. Comments are received from Nick Colucci, the Township's Manager of Public Works, who stated his objection, noting that 75% of the natural shoreline be maintained. Staff note that the report recommends a condition that the applicant submit a site plan application to revegetate the shoreline buffer, should the recommended variance be approved. Nick Schneider, the Township's Chief Building Official, stated no objection to the application. Comments were also received from Douglas Holland, the Township's Fire Prevention Officer, noting the calculated fire response time and recommending that the Fire Smart Homeowner Manual be consulted to understand how treatments to the property influence wildfire spread. The proposed variances are summarized as shown on the screen. This table was included in the circulation materials and can be found on page 139 of the agenda package. The applicant has revised the proposal to bring the development closer into compliance with applicable zoning requirements. They have reduced the first story width of the boathouse for variance A from 53 feet to 51.5 feet. Variance B is no longer required as the easterly side yard setback of the boathouse has been increased to 45 feet to comply with the requirements of the zoning bylaw. The proposed variances are shown in the table on the screen and are included on page 133 and 134 of the agenda package. The building elevations shown on the screen demonstrate the proposed two-story boathouse. Staff have prepared a detailed report for committee's consideration and have recommended that the application be approved subject to the following: that a satisfactory site plan agreement be entered into and registered on title, along with securities for retention of vegetation and plantings to retain and revegetate the shoreline buffer and for the proposed development of a two-story boathouse.
Thank you very much. Is the applicant's agent here?
Yeah. Good morning, Chair and committee members. My name is Jack Lorenz, 3 Armstrong Point Road, Port Carling, Ontario, P0B1J0. The applicant's agent in this case. As the planner stated, we have reduced the required relief down to sort of the minimum possible in this situation, as also as reduced the side yard setback because we're able to comply with that. The main reason for the relief today is that there's already been materials ordered, and in this case, a couple of large doors, which you can see on that elevation, which are already on site. And there was just a sort of miscommunication with the contractor, as well as some other parties on site as far as how wide the boathouse should be, unfortunately. So in this case, we're trying to get this all remedied and bring it into compliance. So appreciate your time today. If you have any questions, then feel free to let me know. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else here wishing to speak in support of this application? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this application? No one? Are there questions from the members? Moved by Member Stokes, second by Member Brown. Be it resolved that minor variance application A7624 Donati Recreational Corporation is hereby approved with the following variance being granted. One, to permit a single-story boathouse to be 51.5 feet, and two, to permit the development of a first-story portion of a two-story boathouse in a different location and extent is shown on Schedule 2 of the bylaw 2021-036. These variances are granted as shown on a plan attached to the notice of decision and are subject to the following conditions. One, that a satisfactory site plan agreement be entered into and registered on title along with securities for retention of vegetation and planting to remain and revegetate the shoreline buffer, and also for the proposed development of a two-story boathouse. This approval shall remain in effect for 3 years from the date of decision. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? That is carried.
Thank you. Nice day.
And moved by Member Brown, second by Member Grogan Green, be it resolved that the meeting adjourned at 9:42 a.m. All those in favor? That's carried. And see, by putting somebody on either side of me, it speeds the meeting.